Welcome, everyone. I'm Del Hornbuckle and broadcasting from my home studio, right? So, welcome to mini.Futures, a podcast showcasing the amazing past of miniatures and dollhouses, but also looking to the future and where the art and inspiration is going. This is a podcast of miniature discovery and highlighting all the miniaturists out there, mini makers out there, living their passion. So, my guest today, in my second interview, I'm really excited about, is an interview with Christopher Robin Nordström, joining us all the way from the Swedish island Sodermalm,
Yes, Södermalm.
Sodermalm
It's
in
Southern
Stockholm.
Ireland. Yes.
So Christopher creates 120 scale replicas of Tokyo buildings that are realistic and simply awe-inspiring. He's perfected that patina technique and creates a level of reality that captures the beauty and grit of urban spaces. I especially like that he's been featured in the great book that I recently bought, Small Scale Big World, The Culture of Mini Crafts. He's participated in many exhibitions and has a wonderful Instagram space at Tokyo Build, and we'll talk about that. So please join me in welcoming Christopher Robin. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. So I have to tease you a little bit because I have kind of Del Hornbuckle. My name is a little unusual. So two things, Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, right? And then
Yeah.
Nordstrom, I don't know if you know, is a huge, very exclusive department store
Yes,
here in
I
the
know that.
U.S.
Yes.
You are. That's yes.
Yeah.
So have you ever been teased about that, or were you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but haven't. It's been more focused on my first name, Christopher Robin,
Mhm.
the Winnie the Pooh, and I am named after Winnie the Pooh as well. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. Well, let's get started. So tell me about Christopher Robin Nordstrom, and how did the miniature bug bite you? So it's really there's a miniature bug, but you're also the scale model world is a little different. I distinguish it a little bit, so we'll get into that. But anyway, just tell me a little bit about you.
Well, the miniature or scale model, like you say, is like like, first off, I kind of feel that I'm a bit in between. The it's like kind of hard to define, but well, it's all started when I was young, building the plastic airplanes models, the Airfix and uh, like the warplanes stuff, and also like Warhammer, the figures. But so that was when I was like 12, 13, something. But then it kind of faded away. But like models have always been around me because my dad builds trains, model trains. So I've and he also built plastic models. But then it's kind of faded away. But I've still like read the papers and gone to the exhibitions and the competitions. But never like, I don't know, never like really gotten into it. One of my best friends in high school, he built lots of models, but he was like in another league than I was. So yeah, but then I like started again just what is it, like 3 years ago, with this Tokyo Builds house after a trip to Tokyo, because I needed I'm lacking a proper workshop. So I started building them on the. I needed like a small scale project. So it started with something I could build on the kitchen table with kind of like hand tools and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's always the miniature bug has always been there, but it's kind of first now I really like dug into it more or less.
Great. Well, tell me, what's the origin of Tokyo Build? What inspired you, and how did you develop Tokyo Build? And please feel free to talk about. Sounds like amazing trips to Tokyo that
Yeah,
inspired you.
I wanted to go to Tokyo since I was like 12 years old or something, but I like kind of always ended up in New York instead for some reason. But like 4 years ago or something, I had my opportunity to go to Tokyo first trip with work, I was then working at H&M, and it was just like amazing. It was like everything I wanted. Like if you're the least interested in pop culture, it's like all roads lead to Tokyo, more or less. But I was also kind of uh, intrigued by the city because you didn't get that Gotham City vibe you get in like New York or other, or even like in Paris, because it was kind of, because probably of like the earthquakes, there were lots of small houses. I think they have these building rules that they can build like houses that are 10 meters high, which is more or less like a 2 stories house. And it was a very cozy town. Uh, like, of course, there's areas which is like super huge and massive, but most of the parts were really cozy, small houses, worn down, like super, yeah, really, really nice. And that really struck me. I wasn't expecting that. So when I came home from my first trip, that was also like I was inspired by the city, but then I was also like in need of a hobby, something to do, because I was just ending up on watching Netflix all evenings. I needed to do something. So then it was like, well, I'm going to try to build models of these houses, try to capture the atmosphere, the vibe, and everything of the houses, and try to see if I could do it here. Because as soon as I came home, I'm starting to miss Tokyo. So yeah, that's how it all started. So I actually haven't built any houses I have seen in Tokyo yet. I still work with walking around in Google Street View, but yeah, now I'm planning. I was actually planning on going there last year, but then the COVID came, so I was cancelled. But I have a trip that's probably going to be later this year, hopefully, and go
So,
there and do some proper research for house that I want to build.
so you're able to use, that's interesting, Google Street View for your images.
Yeah, that's the only
That's
thing I
really
use. Yeah, yeah.
that's really interesting. We'll talk about before we move on from inspiration of cities and spaces. Talk about Stockholm, and also definitely where you live, which I'm guessing is absolutely beautiful. Stockholm is on my bucket list of places to visit. But do you find any inspiration from your surroundings where you live?
Uh, I've started to do that now. Actually, that's one of the nice like uh, uh, things that has happened to me is that I'm so much more aware of all the buildings and all those like small details on houses and stuff. So I can't say I found like specific inspiration where I live now. It's pretty hard, like seeing your own city in that way.
Yes.
Seeing your own, because there's like, yeah, that's the house I pass 10,000 times, and but of course, yeah, like mostly like colors and textures, and like I can now watch and take pictures of if I see like a ventilation thing where it's been dripping something and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, stuff, and like going out and taking pictures of asphalt to see if I can replicate
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah, it's made me more aware of the city I live in. Sure, but yeah, it's a beautiful city. Yeah, you should absolutely come and visit. So
I'll let you know. I'll let
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I'll show you the gems here. Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, I know some listeners may not be familiar with Scratch Build and scale model building. So please explain what it means and why you work in this process. Also share what you work with in terms of materials and share your creative and technical process.
Yeah, it's first of all, I'm like uh, scratch built is that you're fabricating everything from scratch, from nothing, just from more or less from raw materials. So if I'm building a window, then I'm using like maybe some plastic profiles. I'm building the frame. I'm building all the parts. I'm not even when I buy going to do a door, I don't go and buy a door. I build the door. I build the door frame. I build the actual door. I lathe or whatever the doorknob and everything. And that's I that's why I like fabricating. Like that's and trying to solve all the problems. And like, for example, when I do the small air condition machines, it's like the whole process of solving how to do it is why I'm doing this, more or less. And in one house, I usually build the base out of like MDF board, medium density fiberboard, and then I use like every material available for, because it's really hard to say, because if you break down a house in small elements and parts like doors, windows, gas meters, electrical, I had just tried to find the best method for each of those parts. Some parts are good to like cast in resin. Some are good to scratch build from brass. Some are good to photo etch in brass. Some you make in wood. So it's kind of, yeah, I do what's necessary to make the part as good as I want it to be, more or less. And that's what I like about it. So each build I do, I try to add a new element that I haven't used before. Like on the build I'm working on now, that has like an lots of like corrugated metal like facings, and I haven't done that. And it has like wooden window frames. I haven't done like wooden window frames before, so it's like always trying to find something new. And another house I'm planning on building now, that has like a tiles, like and an awning that I haven't done before. I always try to like find new challenges in these builds, and finding new ways of like replicating them as good as possible. So
For certain parts, do you find that you need, or are you interested in, or have you used 3D printing?
yes, I have actually. Not too many parts. I do some signs and stuff that like, but then I often either like vacuum form over or cast them. I do like a mold in silicone and then I cast them again. But for example, I made these small gas meters, and then I know I will need gas meters for more or less every Japanese house I'm building. So, so then we like render it in 3D and then made a printing master, and then I could cast from that. So yeah, I'm not against 3D printing, but I don't think it's. I think it's fantastic for some elements. But people are like, "Why don't you just 3D print the whole building?"
Yes.
It's like, yeah, probably you could do that, but it's same there. You have to just find the right usage for the different fabrication methods. So.
Absolutely.
But it's fantastic. 3D is you can do. It's amazing, especially when you do this resin print, because it looks amazing. So.
But I don't know if you can replicate the patina. I don't think so.
Oh,
I think there's some
yeah,
limitations
absolutely.
to that, right? So do you work in 120 scale?
Yes, 120 scale, and
Solely.
that's not what I know. It's not like a commercial scale in any way, and that's one way for me to kind of force myself to scratch build everything, because I know I'm lazy. I could easily buy myself out of this by going and buying stuff for the houses, but then now I have to force myself to build. But then it's also I'm still lazy, so it's 120. It's easy to calculate everything, you know.
Yes. Well, your work it evokes so much with the condition of the buildings and the facades you design, and there's an edge to all of it that I just love. It's so beautifully detailed and very specific. Um, but why not? We're talking about Tokyo, a very ancient city. Why not the temples, the houses? Some of those instead of just the buildings that have this particular look and feel.
Well, I'm not like a stranger to building those stuff. I've been looking at them, but just they haven't touched me in the same way as these like worn down houses in that way. I just think they look amazing. It's like it's when if you grew up and just loving Star Wars and Blade Runner and all that vibe, this is like
Yes.
this is as close as you can come to it, more or less. So, but of course, but I'm also interested in building maybe more modern houses. Because I'm like experience more. It's more challenging to do less patina, but still enough so it's interesting. Because when I started, I did lots of like tags and graffiti and stuff, but I've gone more and more away from that and doing them more and more like clean, but still worn down. Just in the, but I would love to build like a cleaner and more modern house with just a slightly weathered touch on it, and try to like balance that in the right way. I think uh, that would be interesting. I think I would go for that before I would go for some more temple thing. Actually,
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you wish you'd known when getting started? What was the hardest part? Because like anything else, you learn
oh,
your craft and you get better and better each time you do it.
uh, if, like a really practical thing, I think uh, I would have tried the whole brass soldering stuff earlier, because um, when I tried that, it kind of opened everything, and I like leveled up the building so much. So kind of wished I worked with that earlier, because like some of the first buildings, uh, there I used other techniques that it didn't work as good actually. So
Yeah.
just yeah, and so that and uh, otherwise I'm still kind of satisfied with all. I what is it, like 6 or 7 houses or something now. I'm still
Yeah.
kind of proud of the old ones, and it's been a really steep learning curve
Oh, yeah,
for
sure.
them. So now it's actually more challenging to like challenge yourself for the next level.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, how did you feel when you started getting recognition, attention for your talent and skill?
First, I was a bit surprised actually. I've been uh, friends who know me knows that I've been like anti social media. I don't have anything, but they pushed me to like, but you should do this. You should do this on an Instagram. So I'm like, yeah, okay. But then I tried it, uh, and I'm still surprised, to be honest, that because there's so many good craftsmen and builders out there. But apparently there's more people enjoying these rugged Tokyo houses, also, because that's also fun, because I found on Instagram there's lots of accounts that highlight these old houses. So there's like this community, not just with miniatures. It's like photographers taking pictures of them and stuff. So that's really fun actually. So, but yeah, it's a bit weird, You get DMs from Australia and Korea and whatever, everywhere. So
That's got to be exciting.
yeah, it's exciting.
That's
It's
got
really
to be
exciting. It's fun.
validating. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you had some real pride points with your exhibitions. Please share some highlights, any favorite experiences, and do you do commission work?
Uh, yeah, in the first off, like when I did my first exhibition here in Stockholm, uh, it was like a really like a small location, and we just had it for 3 days. But we were so surprised that it was packed with people from when we opened the door till we closed the door, more or less 3 days later. So that was a really big surprise. Um, but it was also really fun and interesting, because I was a bit scared, because like I've been showing my work on Instagram, and people have seen these houses, how they are built, and I was sure that people would be kind of disappointed when they could see them for real, because they were like, I was scared that I was like building up the expectations of the builds, and got really pleasantly surprised when everyone thought they looked better in real life than on Instagram on screen. So that was, of course, a huge compliment. And then we had a really fun little incident. Is when I had the exhibition, my friend Desmond had made a really nice poster where he had taken pictures of the miniatures, but he had taken them so it looked like real houses, more or less. And then we had a couple of guys there looking, and they thought it was so cool that we had taken pictures of the real houses on the posters, and then I built the models after those houses. But then we tried to explain, it's the actual miniature houses on the poster. And then we're like, yeah, really cool that you took the real house on the poster. And we're like, no, honestly, it's the miniature on the poster. It's the same house here, but they didn't believe us or something. But that's kind of, yeah, that was kind of a nice compliment. But then it was fun. I was sent a miniature to an exhibition in Australia, and that was also just a fun and exciting experience to be able to be part of an exhibition in a place I haven't been. I haven't been in Australia, and seeing people experience the stuff on the other side of the planet. So that's kind of cool, actually. And being asked to be there was also really fun, because we're just world-class miniature builders, whatever. So,
that's right.
Yeah, so it's fun. So we were planning to do a new exhibition now, but we have to wait a while more. But it's fun. It's fun to get. It's a nice to wrap things up. Also, have to have a nice deadline. Otherwise, I'd just be building on the houses forever.
Right. But do you commission? Do you do any commission work?
Ish.
It's okay.
The house I'm working on now is a commission, but I could choose what I wanted to build. There was so that's a kind of the perfect commission. There was this guy who wanted a build, and I didn't have anything for sale, so I suggested this build, and he liked it. So that's a commission. But then I also do a totally different style, and that's the architectural models. Which is also really fun. That's something totally different. I don't do patina on those, So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's talk about the book that it's on my nightstand. Just looking through it, I love the images. Small Scale, Big World. You're amongst some pretty stellar artists and really interesting creative folk. So let's talk about that. How did it come about?
I got an email from Sando Publishing, and asked me if I would be interested in being in this book. And first I kind of ignored it, but then I was like, yeah, maybe this. But yeah, let's give it a try, because it's a bit of work. You have to send pictures and take pictures and answer lots of questions in text and whatever. But then I sent everything in and kind of forgot about it again. And then I got the book, and it's a fantastic book, and really honored to be in it, because, like you say, it's so many good artists in it, and and I really like how they mixed all types of miniatures.
Yes,
I really enjoy that. It's everything. So yeah, can just recommend it. So I also have it here somewhere in my bookshelf. So.
It's really a special book, and actually I would argue one of a kind. And believe me, I have a collection of sort of miniature type books, and I haven't seen anything like it. So I really, I think it's groundbreaking on some level.
Yeah.
Um, so you have one leg in this miniature world that I'm so much a part of, the 112 scale,
Yeah.
right? And you have another leg in this just amazing burgeoning architectural design scale model world that the two sort of dovetail, but they don't quite intersect. Do you think there's a tension? You've touched on some of that because it is a very different community, and I think that community would distinguish itself from just kind of the miniature world that I've been a part of for so long. Talk about that. They're two disparate communities, I think, but sort of dovetailing and aligned in some ways.
Yeah, but it's like you say. It's like uh, it's the same in like even if you build like plastic models. It's like you build like 172 scale or
Hmm.
132
Hmm.
scale, or you work in 135 scale and do military stuff. There's not much correlation between the different, like you either do this or you do that. There's a forum for that, and then we don't do this. Uh, and it's the same like you say, 1 to 12 stuff. They have nothing to do with those things, and but first of all, I think it's kind of boring, of course, because you can learn a lot of each other and like finding techniques. But that's been my way of working, even professionally, with everything. That trying to move freely between all these like segments. Uh, like I'm looking a lot uh, at those, build the ships. They do like amazing models of this old 1500 ships and stuff, and that's those fantastic craftsmen. And I'm watching the one like 72 plastic model, F-14 Tomcat stuff, because they do other stuff fantastically well. But I think I think it's like like slowly getting better, more open. But it's like I, I don't know how to describe it, but uh, it's also like when I went with my dad to this train uh, train club that builds the model trains. They're just so, how should I explain it? They're just so, they want kind of to hold everything to their own. They're like sharing is not caring in any of this, uh, and that's really sad. But I've it's fun if you look at my the Instagram account. I kind of gather all different people there in one way. I have lots of like model train builders who follows me because they like what I do, and I have people who build like 1 to 12 like dollhouse stuff because they like what I do. So there's like, yeah, I kind of kind of see myself if I'm connecting a couple of people, and also this like building like cool scale models of
Hmm. Hmm.
stuff is also kind of new in a way. So yeah, I don't know if it's an answer to your question, but I think the book we were talking about, they kind of connect also like
Yes,
loads of different types of miniatures. And I think it would be super fun to have more exhibitions with different types of
I
miniatures,
agree. I agree. I
because
agree.
there's so many good craftsmen everywhere. So yeah.
So what has social media done for your brand, Tokyo Build? You have tons of followers, I can see. And so, what are the other ways that you've engaged with your arts community, just virtually and also locally?
Uh, yeah, like Instagram has been, it's like my main platform to
Hmm.
both both to share my work and to kind of, yeah, share and display, but also for me to kind of push myself to always uh, posting stuff. It's a good way to fuel the projects all the time. That is like, I know that I have all the followers waiting for something. It's like
Hmm.
could
Hmm.
be it's a good push. Uh, but I also tried. I have this Patreon, which also because I love editing film. I love filming. Always wanted to
Oh,
work with film, so I'm trying that. But I just uh, I I really believe in the sharing, like sharing is caring thing. So I'm like totally open with. I don't have any secrets on how I do stuff. I know that some people have kind of secrets. They don't want to show the process because it's like apparently they're doing some black magic with I don't know what.
yeah.
Like it's something they don't want to know how they do. But for me, the whole uh, I don't see any pride in that I've solved some like how I do textures. I have no problem sharing that. I think it's fun, and I have people. That's also really fun. I have people that follow my tutorials on Patreon like exactly, so they're almost building like a copy of my buildings. But that's just I think that's super nice. I think it's super fun, and it's I've been surprised that it's such a friendly tone uh, on the social media I've been. It's like really open and often kind of fun and inspiring discussions. And I've met loads of fun people uh, that I've
Mhm.
been connecting with. Yeah, so that's only good things to say about it.
Yeah, it's a very generous community,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I enjoy people absolutely just right there on Instagram, sharing photos and talking about their technique and demonstrating it. I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really fun and inspiring.
Yeah. Well, who out there is also doing scratch built artwork or similar replicas or working 120 scale that you really admire, and who should we check out?
There's this one guy called Joshua Smith. He's
Oh yes.
yeah, I think he was the first inspiration where it's like okay, miniatures could be I can build miniatures could be this cool, they could be. Uh, so I saw some of his buildings from the Hong Kong buildings he made, and thought this was before I was building. But so yeah, definitely check him out. He does really amazing stuff. I don't know which scale he actually works in. I think it's different or something. But we have contacts.
Well,
We're he was the one who invited me to the exhibition in Australia. So that's fun.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we chat sometimes about models and what we struggle with and so on. Uh, and then it's what's his name? Ryan, is it Ryan Thompson? He has this what the hell is his Instagram.
Oh yes, yes.
He does
I've
amazing
seen the
stuff.
Instagram page.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He has loads of followers and he posts loads of stuff and it's lots of his from his the kids and his workshop and everything. But he also moves kind of freely in the miniature world. Sometimes he builds tiny stuff, and sometimes he does big, and he does commission, and he's working on something for Vans now. Yeah, I kind of I enjoy his stuff, and sometimes he does this like upscaled stuff instead. He does this huge matchstick box and stuff. So, and I like he is also very like he's also scratch building from other. He uses other. Uh, like materials and stuff he finds and rebuilds them. That's yeah, so I enjoy them. But there's like there's so many good. But mentioning two, I should go with those two.
Well, who around you helped you get here? You talked about your family a little bit, but who helped you get here and supported you and just helped you live your passion?
Oh yeah, it's my first of my family, my wife, who stands up with a smell of lacquer, in the apartment and the glue smell. But yeah, and my I have three boys, uh, uh, and it's like, of course, heartwarming when they come and think it's like, oh, this looks good, Dad. So yeah, and then since my dad has this little workshop with his model trains, and like dig in some of his books sometimes and so on. So it's yeah. But then, like I said, I still have contact with my friends from high school and university that also builds a bit still. So that's kind of fun. So yeah.
Right. That's great. Well, this is that moment I mentioned. So get your camera ready. So first of all, I guess to your left, am I looking at superheroes there? So
Yeah,
let's see
these
the
are some
workshop.
like film. Let's see if I can move this. Yeah, these there are some film like anime film cells. I bought some of a friend. Uh, yeah, and here
There it is.
there's
Awesome.
one it's the back side of the latest build I'm doing now. The with the corrugated.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
You've got a tiny but very productive space.
yeah, it's super tiny. It's like yeah, you have it here, like a small soldering station there,
Oh,
like cutting mat. Yeah, you can see. And here is the mess with everything. You can see if I can go up.
oh yes.
Some books. I can see if I can get it a little lighter.
Oh, I see. I see. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so let's see here. I can see if I could turn this around so you could show you the. There you have.
So phenomenal.
So here you have these signs. The original for these were 3D printed,
Okay.
and same with this is a 3D printed part. Then it's like hand painted, and there you have the wood frame windows I was talking about before.
Mhm, mhm. Just beautiful.
Thank
Just
you.
phenomenal. Right. And are you using for I guess the exterior of the buildings? What is it? MDF? That MDF?
Yeah,
That corrugated? Right. That
yeah.
right.
So this is the MDF, like the base, and then I'm more or less covering it. Uh, and I've always like when you talked about this scale model, I
Mhm,
also can because I used Google Street View to find them. So
mhm,
they're never like precise scale models of a house. It's more like I would call it like portraits of
mhm.
houses. It's like they look like those houses, but they're not copies of them. And and sometimes I can't get like a 360-degree view of the house. So some of the houses I have to kind of make up the backside, and I really enjoy that part to be kind of free. So it's like so I'm not locked in that it has to be exactly like that house. It's like I can move kind of freely. If I'm liking to have this in metal, that's fine. For me, that's like or changing colors or moving stuff around because I like the composition better if this was higher or lower. That's totally fine with me. And trying to uh, have that mindset when working with these houses, that's really fun. Actually.
And I'm fascinated by the building. So just give us a little bit of the backstory here. So is it a Honda, motorcycle
Yeah,
shop, or
yeah. This is
what are we
like a
looking at?
Honda motorcycle repair shop. Uh,
Ah, ah.
so they open these doors, and in here they have the workshop. Uh,
Oh, I love it.
yeah, it's so
I
it's so
love it.
nice. Uh, and
That's
like
great.
Honda is one of my favorite like brands overall. It's like
Yes,
super cool,
yes,
and
yes,
just like it doesn't get more kind of like I mentioned before, like Blade Runner retro futurist
yes,
vibe than
yes.
this. It's like and the colors probably because of the salt water, everything is kind of bleached and rusty. And I
Yes.
really like it. It's worn down, but they're still taking care of everything, and everything works on the houses. But it's just, yeah, it's just very has a really nice, yeah, like I said, this kind of sun bleached vibe over everything, which is beautiful. From the colors, all it's almost like this pastel palette over everything.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
super nice.
I would describe it the authenticity. It's pretty authentic looking.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it
yeah,
it looks
absolutely.
like the building would look if you walked by it, and the sign and everything is a little rusted, and yeah, it looks like it's pretty accurate. It's amazing.
And
It's
it's really,
amazing, Christopher.
and it's fun also because when I use, there's this really fun feature in Google Street View where you can look at each time the Google car has passed.
Hmm.
So you can like go back 10 years. For this house, you can go
Yes.
back 10 years. And then you could see that this awning was like in good condition 10 years ago, but then it's like slowly faded. And this Honda sign for each year, and our letter has fallen down. And that's also really, it's like fun to see how these houses have changed over the years. I
Yes.
was working on another house that had this big red awning around, and you could see that it was like bright red 10 years ago, and it's how each year it's faded and faded and faded, and then I could choose which year I wanted to go with.
It's just phenomenal. It's really inspiring, Christopher. Anyone wanting to think about buildings like that, just over time, what they look like
Yeah,
and how realistic that is. And we see that every day walking around spaces that, wow, I'm sure in its glory days, the colors, bright colors, and what it really looks like now. I think you've really captured that. I love it.
it's like the old Roman Greek sculptures
Yes.
that were painted once, but now they're just white.
What's left? Yeah. Yeah.
Then there's also
Well,
something when I sit here, it's like also the scale, the 1 to 20 scale. I chose it because it's like something, it's like a good uh, I like that you can like hold them like this. That is like, yeah, there's something with the scale that connects with this, like the body size, if you understand
hmm.
me.
Hmm.
There's something
Yes.
that makes me want to like, yeah, I want to hold them. I like give them a hug. And that's
Yeah.
because I don't want them to be too small. Then you're like too
Yes.
big compared to the house. So that's also kind of why I chose this. I remember the first house I just wanted to like I wanted this big, so I can. So that's also, I think it's fascinating with miniatures because I haven't uh, I haven't seen any other kind of art form that like is so appreciated with like everyone has some kind of positive connection with miniatures.
Yes.
And I can't explain it, but there's something with the scale that just intrigues people. So it can be everything from, like I said, military models to doll houses to just if you shrink stuff, it's people like it.
Hmm.
Or it,
Oh, I think so. Whether you're into them or not,
yeah, exactly.
building or not, everyone, children to adults, when they encounter miniatures, and absolutely when you start looking at the craftsmanship, I've never met anyone. It's just that's it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's
It's a
fascinating.
fascinating art form, no
Yeah,
question.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what? Let me ask you something. So, what's one common myth about miniatures that you've become aware of, and how would you dispel it? You've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's this like, can miniatures be cool thing, in a way, because it's always connected with uh, either, like I say, like the military war things, or
Hmm.
the doll thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it can be so much more. It can be kind of like you say, everything. I met these really people who build these low rider cars, or like like my son is also working on like rebuilding and modding like Hot Wheels cars.
Oh,
So yeah, it's so much big. But it's, as soon as you say that you work with miniatures, you always get this kind of uh, the old geeky guy in the basement working with trains, or that you're a bit.
Or the Victorian dollhouse,
Yeah, the
right?
Victorian
I think the
dollhouse
Victorian
was
dollhouse is a big
weird,
one.
in a way. But
Mm-hmm.
so, but I hope I helped people, some people to see that it can be something different. It can be,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. I remember now because you're mentioning the uh, like the scale model and stuff. And something I'm very inspired by is also like the film prop world.
Yes,
The scale
yes.
models for the movies. That's something like for like the Blade Runner and the Alien, and that's a world that does amazing miniatures. I was watching this video the other day when they did the Grand Budapest Hotel,
Mm-hmm.
like in miniatures. That's also very inspiring. The whole movie prop scene.
Oh, you'll have to send me the link.
Yeah,
I
most
love that
definitely. That's
stuff.
a fantastic
Yeah.
channel where just they talk
Mm-hmm.
about miniatures. Everything from Waterworld to True Lies to everything that has miniatures in it.
Mm-hmm. And that was my point about just two separate communities, and it's really the larger umbrella of miniatures.
Yeah, yeah,
It is
absolutely.
for me. It's a real art form. It's truly an art form to me. It's more than a hobby.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know we would say that because we're not like working artists, many of us, but it's absolutely a bona fide art form as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. It's like if you've been watching the Mandalorian, when
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole episode about how they do Mando's Razor Crest ship and how they built like an actual miniature of it because the rendering, 3D rendering,
Mm-hmm.
didn't work as good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also super fascinating work.
Right. Well, what would you change about? I'm calling it the hobby in this case, a miniature hobby, the art form, the community. What would be your message? You've touched on it already, but
Just to make it more open. I would love to have like a platform where all different types of miniatures gathered and exchanged uh, tips and tricks and experience with each other, more or less. Yeah, that would be my main. Yeah, and like I said, maybe arrange miniature exhibitions where all types of miniatures are represented.
yes,
Yeah, that would be super fun.
we're going to work on that.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do that. Well, this has been just awesome, Christopher. So, any final thoughts? Any final words? What's on the horizon? I can see it right in front of me, but
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to share?
No, but maybe that I get lots of questions. People want to start building miniatures, but they're kind of they're too scared. It's going to be too hard for them, so they kind of lock. They freeze before they even started. Uh, and that's too bad. Actually, I just hope people could just start building stuff. You could build fantastic stuff with like on your kitchen table
Yes.
with very simple tools and very simple materials. So I've always been like, uh, I've always um, liked and encouraged people to do stuff. It doesn't really matter how they do it or what they do, just that they at least try to do it. Uh, so people asking me like, how should I start? What materials should I use? What blah 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 blah. And I like, how do you do it? And blah blah. And I don't want to scare them in any way or something because sometimes it's super boring building miniatures as well because there's like when I'm doing the like 20th window, it's
Yes.
super boring. It's I could start crying because it's so boring. I don't want to say that because and that's also like that's a totally different thing about working method. But yeah, just give it a shot. Just try building something. Like use some foam board and a glue gun. They can come do
Hmm.
amazing stuff with those things. And there's so many like good tutorials and stuff on YouTube now. So there's don't
Yeah, the internet has changed all of it.
yeah,
It's no
absolutely.
question.
And like
No
don't
question.
don't plan too much. Just build and then build a new one instead. And because that's how I did. I built one, and then I think I could make a better one. Then I made a better one, and then I made and then I just leave the projects and start new ones instead. But then also, like I said, the working method, because some of these houses, the builds, they are kind of overwhelming in work, because there's just so much work in them. But if you have to you have to kind of break it down into small parts, and because if you buy a nice vintage car and you want to renovate it, the first thing you do is like tear it down to like molecules, and then you never get it back together again, because you don't have the energy. So you have to do it like step by step by step, and it's the same here. So that can also that could be a recommendation, that try to like don't get overwhelmed by the projects. Just okay, break this little piece down and do that, and then break down this little piece, and yeah.
Right. It's all about planning.
Yeah,
I
it's
think a lot of
planning.
the work is really planning.
Mm.
Sure.
I'm really crappy at planning, actually, because
Oh,
I just printed the decals for this, and I need them to be put from the inside, and now I have the curtains here. I do this stuff all the time, but it's fine, I can only plan to a certain level, then it's just I have to redo stuff.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Christopher.
Thank you.
It's been so enlightening. It's just been so enlightening, seriously, and inspiring. I wish you could send that to me. That I love it.
Yeah,
And I love the Honda building, because I know the history of the company.
yeah,
I love it.
it's a
I think
fantastic
that's great.
company. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and
Okay,
finally, a
go ahead.
fun story was that one of my followers, the same day I posted that I've done this sign, he like passed this house, like without knowing that it was that house,
Really?
and he got really, yeah, it was really like a fun. He sent me pictures of the house. Like, Tokyo is kind of a big city, so it was yeah, kind of one in a million that he actually passed this house.
That's quite a story.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's all the time we have for this episode. So please check out my blog site, mini.Futures.blog, for more images of Christopher's amazing work. And then the Godzilla image, I think, with you next to that statue. That's a
Oh
really
yeah.
great photo. I love that. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Crafted Homes Inc. But Christopher, before we go, of course, please tell everyone how they can get in touch with you and what they need to see, where they can go to see your amazing work.
Yeah, it's on Instagram at Tokyo Build, and the best way is actually to send DMs through Instagram. I try to answer everything, or send a comment or anything. I read everything. So
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you again, Christopher. It's absolutely been a pleasure.
thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Until next time.